My philosopher is Jeremy Bentham, and his philosophy is on utilitarianism. Just some things about Bentham. He was born February 15th in London, England, and Bentham was best known as an English philosopher, jurist, and social reformer. He was obviously the founder of modern utilitarianism, and his principle was that it is the greatest happiness of the greatest number that is the measure of right and wrong. And he called for the abolition of slavery, the death penalty, and physical punishment, especially on children. And he was an advocate for animal rights, and he also advocated individual and economic freedom and freedom of expression. So the thesis for my essay is Jeremy Bentham, jurist and political reformer, is a philosopher whose name is closely related to the modern utilitarianism tradition. He rendered the theory in its recognizably secular and systematic form and made it a critical tool of moral and legal philosophy and political and social improvement. So, utilitarianism is a doctrine that actions are right if they are useful for the benefit of the majority. And utility and utilitarianism just means the well being of sentient entities. And Bentham thought we should look at happiness based on pleasure, no matter what it was, and that we should treat unhappiness as something consisting of pain. He said, "The said truth is that it is the greatest happiness of the greatest number that is the measure of right and wrong." So the main types of utilitarianism are negative utilitarianism, which, in contrast to all other types of utilitarianism, it promotes the least amount of suffering for the greatest amount of people. Sentient utilitarianism is a type of utilitarianism which caters for animals and anything other than human beings. Average utilitarianism suggests that we measure the utility of a population by calculating the average utility. Total utilitarianism, which is similar to average utilitarianism, except you measure the happiness or utility of a society by adding it. And motive utilitarianism incorporates motives people have for a specific action and decides if it should be considered morally right or wrong. Rule utilitarianism is concerned with general or obvious moral rules that should be followed in decision making processes. And act or case utilitarianism requires each case or situation to be analyzed individually. And two-level utilitarianism is very similar to act or case utilitarianism, except each situation is thought out more critically. Modern day utilitarianism is Bentham's influence and how they benefited fields in economics, as well as the philosophic calculus, which was developed and provided for the development of policy based on cost-benefit analysis, which nowadays estimates strengths and weaknesses in businesses, activities, and projects. And his ideas, which influence welfarism, which is premises that actions, policies, and rules should be evaluated on the basis of their consequences. And my conclusion is that utilitarianism is based off the idea that if something promotes happiness, it's morally right, and the rightness or wrongness of an act is solely dependent on the motive of the act. Bentham analyzed happiness as a balance of pleasure over pain and believed those feelings are of intrinsic value, which is something to be held good in itself. And these are my resources.